North America's largest developer of dollar stores. Over 4,600 stores open since 1993. For more information, visit our website at dollarstoreservices.com.
My name is John LaFronz. I'm the general manager here at Dollar Store Services. I've been here for 20 years. And let me tell you a little bit about our company. We are America's largest retail store developer for independently owned business. We've opened over 4,600 stores since 1993 in the U.S. and around the world. Our program centers around a comprehensive package of goods and services designed to deliver to you a turnkey business opportunity. That set of services covers every aspect of opening and running your store long term. We open a number of different types of dollar stores, including the dollar-only store, a $1.25 store, which we'll talk a little bit about tonight, our new 1-2-3 store, which is the focus of the evening, and then a dollar-plus store, a big box store that starts at 10,000 square feet, and a neighborhood market as well. Going back to the 7 key services for just a minute, because again, that is at the heart of what we do. And let me point out for just a second, we are not a franchise. Which is great for you, but we do offer all the benefits of a franchise, long-term support, access to a buying network, and so on. But you never pay any fees or royalties ever like a franchise would ask you to do. You pay us one time for the store package that you decide to develop based on the size that you want to open. And then after that, all the services are yours at no charge at all for as long as you're in business, the long-term support, supplier information, and so on. And we'll get into that a little bit more. 7 key services are very, very quickly. We assist you in securing financing if you need it. Then, of course, we assist you in finding the proper location for your store. Then we negotiate the lease agreement. You're in full control and accord with that. Then once that's done, we schedule the setup of your store, and we send a crew out to put your store together, and we provide all the labor, the fixtures, the equipment, the interior signage, and allowance towards the cost of your outdoor sign, and of course, all the merchandise, and our crew receives it all and puts it all together for you. During that same period of time, we provide you with comprehensive training here in our office, online and over the phone. And you become a member of our merchandise network where you can enjoy savings of 20 to 25% on merchandise as opposed to what you would pay as an individual store going to those same suppliers. And lastly, we provide you comprehensive and incredible long-term support. Everything from new product information to new supplier information to helping you getting ready for every season and holiday to helping you source product, tracking your sales, and so on. So those are briefly the 7 key services that make up our store development program. And what I'd like to do now is just take a minute or two and talk about each one. I worked in various parts of the industry. I worked for chain stores, discount chain stores. I own stores of my own. I did overseas buying. I've done domestic buying. I've worked for a wholesale company. So I've been involved at one time or another in all aspects of discount retailing. And hopefully I'll be able to share some of my experiences, good and bad, with you as we move forward together. So getting back to the 7 key services, the first one, as I mentioned, was assisting you in securing financing. We have a number of different lenders available to us that can address all different types of credit profiles. So I always tell everybody when they first come on board or we talk to them, never assume that you can't get financing. If you believe your credit profile's a little weak, sometimes our lenders can work with that. Sometimes they can help you improve that credit profile. But the long and the short of it is never assume that you can't get financing. We work with different types of lenders. They can help you getting home equity loans if you choose to do that. And a lot of us that own homes seen them appreciate over the last year or two. So sometimes that can be a good, inexpensive source of income. If you decide to go the SBA route, we can provide you with the documentation that you need for that. Many of our store owners will borrow against their secure CDs or their 401ks, and we have a lender actually that can help you borrow against your 401k. So you're basically funding yourself without exhausting your 401k, and you pay that loan back to yourself, which is a pretty nice vehicle to fund your store. Many of our lenders, 2 or 3, can offer up to 100% financing, and sometimes that can even include working capital and your startup costs. And of course, that all depends on your credit profile. If you need a business plan for one of the lenders, we can provide that to you at no charge. What you'll find is if you do decide to take the next step and fill out an application and put a $500 fully refundable deposit in place, the first place you go is to our finance office, and you will know within 48 to 72 hours if you can secure funding, and if so, how much and what the terms of that funding might be. So if you decide to go forward, that's great. We move you over into real estate. If not, or you can't secure funding, your deposit goes right back to you. So let's assume for the minute that you've secured the funding, you like the terms and conditions. So we're going to move on to site location. In site location, we assign a team to work with you here in our office, and that consists of a site location specialist and a leasing manager. And they will work the area in which you've designated that you'd like to develop your store. So the first thing that happens is they will identify every location in that area in the size range that you're looking for. Then they'll review them and they'll discard the locations that we don't believe have merit. Our senior staff does that. Maybe there's a competitor too close, or the shopping center or locations in a bad area, or maybe we see that the asking rents are so high that we know it's going to be difficult to be successful there. So we discard all those locations. Then the locations that we believe are worthy of you considering, we load up onto a website that we developed some years ago. It's called Easy Track, and you will have access to that. It's a secure website, and on that website, you will see everything you can possibly know about every location. We grade that site for you first, so you see the site grade, A, B, C, or D. You'll see all the demographics, the traffic counts, the population at 1, 3, and 5 miles, the percentage of owned homes to rental homes, the household income, and many, many other key demographics that help us assess one location versus another. And as we move through that process, good evening, welcome. As we move through that process, we'll be talking about those locations together and discussing the pros and cons of each one and why we believe one location may be one to consider or not, based on all those different demographic markers. And again, you'll have full access to that site. You can look at any location anytime. It's fully interactive. So you may say, oh, I went out to see this location last night. I don't like it that much, or it's really busy. I want to move forward with this one. And you can enter those notes right into Easy Track, and we review them every morning and then get in contact with you. So the site process is relatively fast, but I don't like to rush it. I want to make sure we see everything there is to see always. And as we identify locations that we believe are worthy of consideration and you like as well, we'll make arrangements for you to go into those spaces and see what the condition is so we know what we need to negotiate for. Does that space need new flooring? Does it need paint or the ceiling replaced? Whatever those things might be. And we're also going to ask you to look at the outside of the center because you're going to see things that we just can't see. For example, is the shopping center parking lot well lit at night? Is the shopping center well maintained? Is it a safe place for you to do business and for your customers to shop your business? Things such as that. So we work through that process, and we will identify any number of locations for you to consider and evaluate. And as we together find locations that you like, you may tell us, I'd like to go forward on this location and this location as well. Let's see. And we always negotiate on more than one location for a number of reasons. We want to be able to see where the final numbers can end up. What is the negotiated rent going to look like? How much free rent are we going to be able to secure for you? How is the landlord going to deliver the space, and so on? And every one of our leasing managers here in our office, they're all very experienced. I think our newest one, good evening, our newest leasing manager's been here maybe 7 or 8 years now, so they've been with us a long time. Each of them negotiates well over 100 retail leases every year, and they know exactly what to look for. Every negotiation starts with a letter of intent that which is our first offer to the landlord, and we review that with you before we submit it. And each letter of intent contains over 17 key provisions, all designed to protect you as the tenant. And I'll give you a couple of quick examples. One good example is we want to make sure that the space that you're considering leasing is ADA compliant. And what that means is that it satisfies all the requirements of the Americans with Disabilities Act. The space is handicapped accessible. And that includes not only the entry, but the restrooms. If you were to lease a space that did not have an ADA compliant restroom, when you went to get your final inspection, odds are pretty good that the inspector is going to say, well, I can't give you a certificate of occupancy for the space because the restroom has to be retrofitted. It's got to have a wider door. It's got to have room for a person in a wheelchair to turn around. It's got to have different types of plumbing fixtures and so on. If you had to bear that expense, that can be $10, $12, sometimes $15,000, depending on what you have to do. We don't want our clients to have to bear that cost. We're going to negotiate for the landlord to do that. Very important, and a lot of people miss that. I've seen it many times over the years. Another key concession that we always look for in leases is what's known as a no relocation clause. And what that means is if you lease a space and maybe you're in a center and there's a Target there, Target store, and you're 2 doors down from Target and it's a very busy location and lots of people going in and out of Target and they're all walking by your store to get there and they're parking in front of your store. It's a very nice location that has a lot of potential to do nice business. So you open your store there and you're doing well, doing very well. Then 6 months later, the landlord comes to you and says, you know, Joe, you have a really nice space here, but I've got somebody that wants to pay more rent. So, and he likes his space. So I'm gonna move you. I'm gonna move you down to the far end of the center where there's no traffic at all, and I'm gonna give this other tenant your space because they're willing to pay more. Well, if you don't have that no relocation clause, the landlord can actually do that. So we want to make absolutely sure that that can't happen to you. And of course, other things as well, making sure that you're the only dollar store in the center. Nobody else can lease a space and open a dollar store and compete with you. And again, there's over 17 provisions we negotiate for you. If the space requires some construction, maybe a couple of walls have to come down, or minor tenant improvements like paint or carpet or tile, we always try and have the landlord negotiate. We negotiate with the landlord for them to do that, and we're almost always successful. So there's usually a couple of rounds of proposals and counter proposals, and we get to a final letter of intent, which has all the agreed upon terms and conditions that we've reviewed with you, and you're involved in every step in that process, of course. So if we get to that point and you're happy with the terms and conditions, we have the landlord go ahead and draft the lease. They send it back to us. We get a copy to you, and we review it with you line by line to make sure that, number one, everything that should be in there is in there, of course, and then to make sure that you fully understand all the terms and clauses within that lease. Then if everything's in accord and you're happy with the final lease, then you go ahead and execute it. From that point, a couple of things start to happen. It gets very busy. Number one, you're going to be talking to our trainer and merchandise manager, and they're going to be doing your training over the phone, and a lot of it is done, good evening, welcome, on internet modules, which you can do at your own pace, and then follow up with your trainer here in our office with questions. It's a great training procedure. We've been doing it for many, many years. A portion of it, as I said, is live on the phone because we want to spend more time talking about the merchandise suppliers and so on, and that's much easier to do live. That person will also be talking to you about your specific location, reviewing everything that we can know about it, all the demographics and so on, the competitors, who they are, where they are. And then she's going to get on the phone with you and she'll talk through any special needs that you may have identified in terms of merchandise for your store. You know, there are certain things that you may be more aware of than us. Are there some elementary schools nearby? Because we want to merchandise to those students and, of course, to their parents. Are there senior citizens communities close by, or a lot of apartments where they're rentals and people tend to move in and move out over time? All those different factors go into how we put your merchandise mix together. So she'll have those conversations with you. Then she'll write a recommended set of orders, which she'll send to you. And then you and she will review them, and you'll have the opportunity to make any changes, additions, deletions that you would like to make, because we want to make sure that that process is 100% transparent and you know exactly what is going into your store. There are no surprises. It's very important. So we do that. Once you've approved all the orders and finalized them, we get them ready to ship. We place them with the different suppliers. At the same time that we're doing that training, you're also talking to our vice president for operations, and he is going to be scheduling the date that we're going to arrive to set up your store. And he coordinates with you and with your landlord. If the landlord has work to do in the space, he's going to be coordinating with them to find out when they estimate that space is going to be ready to turn over to you. and working with you to make sure you're doing the other things that you need to establish your business, that you're getting your tax ID number and setting up your bank accounts. And your trainer will cover these same items as well, because there's a lot to cover. In fact, our operations manager has a checklist of over 80, 81 or 82 items. Good evening, welcome. Again, I'd stop for a second. I'd ask everyone, if you haven't muted your phone, please do so there's no background noise. And then we'll open it up to questions, and you can unmute your phone, of course. Thank you. So that's what's going on. Now the day has arrived when we're going to actually put your store together. Our crew arrives on site. We schedule our store setup supervisor to arrive on a Sunday evening. Could you please mute your phone? Thank you. That person will arrive on a Sunday evening. They'll meet with you. They'll walk the store location. They will get a set of keys from you, review all the dimensions and so forth one more time. Monday morning, the truck carrying the store fixtures arrives. Our crew is there to unload it. We start setting up the shelving and putting the slat wall on the walls and setting the checkout and so on. Monday afternoon, typically the merchandise starts arriving. And again, our crew is there to receive it, and we start stocking the shelves as the orders come in. We also will be installing, good evening, welcome. We'll be installing your interior signage, setting up the cash register, all the ancillary displays like the greeting card displays, the jewelry displays, and so on, so that by the end of day Friday or Saturday, your store is 100% done and you're ready to open for business. It takes us about a week. Larger stores do take a little bit longer, but up to about 2,500 to 3,000 square feet, it's a 7-day process. And we do many stores every year. Our build-out supervisors are incredibly efficient at this, and each of them does in excess of 30 stores a year. So that's the store setup process. You've had your training. What's coming up next? Well, what's going to happen next is you are a member of our merchandise system, and this is kind of the cornerstone of everything that we do, and it certainly is the cornerstone of our 7 key services, because you've gotten your funding, you found your location, you've negotiated your lease, your store is set up. Now you have to be in a position to buy merchandise efficiently and profitably. So you become part of our supplier network. In our network, we have over 80 suppliers located throughout the country for a couple of reasons. One, to minimize travel time, and 2, to give you the best possible assortment of merchandise available in your store. We negotiate prices each and every week. We visit our suppliers once a month. We hand select the best new items. We negotiate the prices on those items, and if we can get to pricing that we believe is acceptable, we present those items to you. There are, let me say this, the cost of all merchandise is negotiable. We don't want our stores to buy from a catalog. We don't want you to buy simply from the internet for a lot of reasons, but the main reason is you can't evaluate an item looking at a picture of it. You can't hold it in your hand. You can't see that it does what it's intended to do. If you have an adjustable wrench, does that little knurl work? Does it open and close? If you have a can opener, does it turn easily and punch a hole in a can? We do all those things. We want to make sure that whatever merchandise you're going to put in your store actually does what it's intended to do and does it well. And then beyond that, we want to make sure that the packaging is correct too. You can take the same item, you can take a pair of pliers and put it in a plastic bag and staple a little cardboard header card on the top and hang it on a peg hook on your wall. And in a couple of days, somebody's pulled on that bag a couple of times. Now it's separated from the header card. It's on the ground, or people set it on a shelf or something. Doesn't look like much of a value. If you take that same pliers, which is good pliers, and you put it on a backing card and you zip tie it to the card, so now it looks like an item that you would see in a nice hardware store. Same item, but the packaging seals the deal. It looks like a quality item because, in fact, it is. So those things are important. So we look at all of that. We make sure the item is functional, number one. Number two, we make sure it's presented in the best possible way so your customers can make a good buying decision. Within our merchandise network, within any good merchandise system, there are 3, and I can't emphasize these items enough, so just indulge me for a minute or two. There are 3 key components to a good merchandise system, and they are value, variety, and new merchandise. And I'll touch on each one briefly. How do we provide value to you in our merchandise program? Well, we provide value because we go out to the suppliers and we do the things that you're not able to leave your store to do. Again, we don't want you to buy from a picture in a catalog. We don't want you to buy from the internet. So we go to each supplier, as I said, basically once a month. I'll review all the items, and I do most of this traveling. We review the items, the newest items they have available. We assess their functionality. We negotiate their price. And if we believe that they're good values, then we will present them to you so you can decide if you want to put them in your store. If we can't get to the right price or the item is not acceptable to us, you will never see it from us. And you get information on items each and every week from our offices. Second leg of the merchandise program, as I mentioned, is variety. How do we achieve variety? Well, number one, as I said, we have over 80 suppliers that you can draw from. Some of them are general merchandise suppliers, we call them, because they supply many different categories of merchandise. And some of them are specialty suppliers who are the best at their one category, like greeting cards or costume jewelry or small electronics or gift bags, things like that. So we use those individuals too because they are the absolute best at what they do. But beyond that, we achieve variety a couple of other ways. Number one, because many of our suppliers will offer you freight caps on orders, you are able to buy from suppliers that are a greater distance away from you than any of your competitors can. So if you're in Chicago and there are other independent dollar stores in and around you, they can basically only buy from suppliers in and around Chicago because they can't afford to ship the product any further. You, being part of our merchandise network, and with the freight caps that we've negotiated with a number of our suppliers, you can buy product from Southern California. You can buy product from the upper Midwest. You can buy product from the East Coast. So what that means is you're going to have merchandise in your store that none of your competitors are able to get. They can't afford to have it. It's a big advantage for you. So that's value. We've talked about variety. The last point I want to make about variety very quickly is that in our business, in the dollar store business, most merchandise that is shipped comes in large cartons, and they call them master cartons, and they may have 72 pieces or 144 pieces of an item in that master carton. So if you had to buy that way, say you wanted to buy a basting brush, one of these pastry brushes, you would have to buy 72 pieces or 144 pieces of that brush. And no matter how good a selling item that brush is, you're going to be looking at them for a long time. They're going to be on your shelf as they sell, but they're also going to be in your stock room, not selling, and tying up inventory dollars and taking up space. So because our stores do so much business with our suppliers, they will, in most cases, ship what's known in the industry as an interpack. So within that case of 72 pastry brushes, there are 6 smaller boxes of 12 pieces each. This is just one example. So our suppliers will ship you one box of 12. So what does that do for you? It does a few things. One, when you get those 12 pastry brushes, they all go out on the counter, nothing in the back room, which is great. You can see your inventory. Number two, it frees up those inventory dollars. So instead of having 6 dozen of one item, you have 1 dozen of that item, and you can buy 1 dozen of 5 other items. So not only does it save your inventory dollars, it lets you put those inventory dollars into other things. So just in that one example, you have 6 times the assortment for the same amount of money that you would pay for that one master carton. It's an incredible advantage. And your merchandise is always turning. It's not sitting in the back room. It doesn't get lost, doesn't get damaged. And the inventory dollars are working for you on the shelf every day. So we've talked about value. We've talked about variety. New merchandise. New merchandise is really, and I'll probably say this as many times as we talk, you'll hear this come out of my head. New merchandise is the engine that pulls the train. It's the most important component after price of a good merchandise system. And why do I say that? I say that because people all shop the same way, whether they're extremely well-to-do, blue-collar middle class, lower middle class, whatever, paycheck to paycheck. They shop the same way. when I go into your store, and I'll give you an example which I've used before. So if you've talked to me before, I'm sorry, but I go into your dollar store, and I do this every week. I know what I want to buy. So I have my little list, just like everybody does. So I need paper towels. I need toilet tissue. I need shampoo or conditioner. I need a couple of household cleaners for the kitchen, some awesome, and a couple of things like that. So I've got maybe 6 or 7 items that I know I need to get and take home. So I walk into your store. I see those items. I'm walking around. I pick them up. So now I've satisfied the reason that I came to you for. But now I start to look around because your store is full of great items, great values. So I start to poke around, and maybe I see a really nice table runner in your linen department, and it costs $1 or $1.25. And I said, wow, that's really nice. So I'll pick that up. It'll look nice on my hall table. It'll make my wife happy, and it's not very expensive. And I'll go back to automotive, and I'm walking around in hardware, and I'll pick up one of those man-made chamois for the car. You clean my car on the weekends, and a couple of toys for my grandkids. So now I went into your store to spend $6 or $7. I'm walking out having spent $12 or $15 because now I'm buying items that I didn't know I needed, but the perceived value of those items was so good that I had to buy them, and so I did. I made that decision. Now, which is great for you because now the average sale was bigger. The profit on that sale was bigger because typically those hard items pay more margin, and you've got a nicer transaction. But when I come back next week, which I always do, I'll come back in and I need a lot of those same items are on my list again. I may not need the toilet tissue, but I need the paper towels. I may not need the conditioner, but now I need shampoo. Maybe I need some Q-tips, whatever. So again, I've got 4, 5, 6 items that I know I need, and I pick them up. They're in my cart. Now I start to look around. Now here's the point that I'm trying to get to. I don't need that table runner because I still have it. Didn't get used up. I don't need the chamois. Still have it. Didn't get used up. And if my grandkids haven't destroyed those toys, I don't need them either. Still there. So now, unless you show me something new that I haven't seen before, it's going to be a smaller transaction. And that's why it's so important that every time I come into your store, I see something I haven't seen before. So I can make that add-on buying decision. And we train so that each time you place an order, we strongly recommend with any supplier that at least 40 or 50% of the items that you buy are new items you haven't had before. So that every time a customer does go into your store, they see something they haven't seen before, and they can make that good buying decision. The core products are really never going to change. The consumable items that people buy and use and buy again and use again, like the paper towels and so on, the household cleaners, health and beauty aids items, things like that. But everything else in your store should always be changing. And even within those categories, it doesn't hurt from time to time to change up, have a different label of shampoo, have a different type of dish detergent, just so your store is always fresh and people have that excitement and that treasure hunting experience each and every time they walk into your store. So those are the 3 legs of the merchandise system: value, variety, and new merchandise. And I apologize if I went a little overboard, but it is important. So I'd like to talk about for a minute. And within our network, because we negotiate the prices for you, you will save 20 to 25%. Good evening, welcome. You will save 20 to 25% on merchandise each and every time you order, just by being part of our merchandise program, versus what an individual would pay going to those same suppliers outside of our network. So just a quick example, if you were to buy $300,000 in inventory next year at cost, you would save $60,000 to $70,000, which becomes immediately profit for you just by being part of our supplier network. An incredible value, and it goes on for the life of your business, obviously. Then lastly, the last leg of our 7 key services, long-term support. We assign a person to stay in contact with you almost daily for the first 90 to 120 days, helping you generate replacement orders, source new products that you might be getting requests for, tracking your sales with you by category, making sure we're maximizing the sales in each category, evaluating where your sales are coming from with you so you know that if you're better than average hardware store, we're helping you expand what you carry in hardware and so on. If you're underperforming in another category like hair goods maybe, We'll try and remediate that with you. We'll have you send us pictures of your display. We'll look at your order history with you and so on, because we want to make sure that we can maximize for you your sales in every category in your store. And that person will also be reviewing new merchandise with you, helping you get ready for every season and holiday as they come forth on the calendar. And after that first 90 to 120 days, if we feel and you feel that you've got your arms around the store and everything's going as it should, then we move your store to a long-term coordinator's desk. And that person provides that same support for you, somewhat less intensely. They'll reach out to you once or twice a week, but they are always available to you for any questions or assistance that you might need. And that goes on for the life of your business. It's an incredible value, and again, at no cost to you ever. So with that kind of explains our 7 key services, and I apologize if I went a little long. And again, that all starts with a 100% refundable $500 deposit. As I mentioned earlier, if you decide not to go forward at any point, if you can't get the financing that you want or like, or we can't find a location that you like, or you're not happy with the terms of the lease, for whatever reason at all you have to do is say, send me back my deposit, and we refund it. No questions asked. We do it every day. If you do go forward and actually open a store, then that deposit becomes part of the purchase price of your store. So you never lose it. It's never at risk. So that's what I can kind of tell you about that portion of our store development program. Now I'd like to talk for a couple of minutes, if I can, about the industry, and then we'll kind of open it up to questions, because there are some exciting things going on. As I mentioned earlier, the focus of tonight is on the 1, 2, 3 store. We started developing $1, $2, $3 stores about the middle of last year for a number of reasons. We found that in many areas, the competition consists, in most areas, it's Dollar Tree, and it's Family Dollar, Dollar General. So we want to make our stores different. So if you have some competition, the 1, 2, 3 positions you nicely to compete with both of those chain stores. What we found, we did a lot of research in Dollar General. We found that though they have items, if you've been in their stores, you know, they have items that sell up to $10, $15, $20. Where they do the bulk of their business is between $1 and $5, and most of it between $1 and $3. So what we did, we created a store that had the best $1 items, absolute best items that are available to sell for $1, and then filled out the balance of the store with merchandise, the best merchandise that can sell between $1 and $3. And we created a store around that, so you compete nicely with Dollar Tree, which of course now is a $1.25 tree. They're not a Dollar Tree anymore, and you can also compete very comfortably with Family Dollar and Dollar General, and have the best of the best from $1 to $3. It's a very nice format, and we find that it's very attractive to lots of people. And again, in terms of who's your competition, well, it's nobody. Nobody has a store like you're going to have. In addition to everything else, as opposed to a dollar-only store, you have a larger average transaction. You have better profit margins because you're not tied to that dollar-only price, though you'll have the best of those items as well. So a lot of advantages for you as a store owner, and a lot of advantage for your customers as well, because they have a wider selection of merchandise. They have more categories of merchandise to choose from than they would in a typical Dollar or a Dollar Tree type store. And you will find that of the items that you carry in your 1, 2, 3 store, you will be less expensive than Dollar General on virtually every item in your store. Dollar General is really not competitive. They just have the name. So you'll find that in your market, if you do a 1, 2, 3 store, you're going to be very comfortably competitive with even those big guys like Dollar General. So that's a key. What's going on in our industry? Well, lots of things. Number one, last year, dollar stores nationwide did over $60 billion in business. It's an incredible number, and they're looking to do 65. Projections are for the industry from Wall Street, 65 billion or more in 2022. I saw a survey that was done, a research paper that was done late last year, and they estimate this year, based on the growth curve, that 2 out of every 3 retail stores that opened this year will be dollar type stores, and that's independents, that's chains, and so on. It's just incredible. If you add all the grocery stores, all the electronic stores, all the clothing stores, all those stores together, they only constitute 1/3 of the retail stores are going to open this year, and dollar stores comprise the other 2/3. So the growth potential in our business is just incredible. And I've been here 20 years, and people ask me every year, is this getting saturated? Well, no, not yet, and I don't see it in the foreseeable future because the demand for our stores, demand for our business is just so high. And what's interesting is that when the economy is good, dollar stores do very well. When the economy is a little bumpy, they do even better because we gain new customers, and those customers find the values that they didn't know existed in dollar stores, so they become regular customers. I was talking to a gentleman this morning. He said, well, this inflation, is this going to hurt a dollar store? And the answer is no. It's probably one of the, I won't say inflation is a good thing, but within our business, it is a good thing because more people need to find more value in the items that they buy every day and every week, and dollar stores deliver that to them. There's a survey that was done towards the latter part of last year coming out of the pandemic, and it was a survey that was done of grocery store shoppers, and it was pretty interesting. And they asked a lot of questions, and the information was very interesting. But two key things kind of jumped out at me. One question they asked was, what do you look for when you shop? What's the most important thing when you shop? And they said price, of course, and then convenience, two key items. And then the other question that stopped me was they said, do you believe that during the pandemic, your grocery store gouged you? Did they price gouge you? Did they take advantage of you? And over 70, almost 80% of the people being surveyed said, yeah, absolutely, So I find different ways. The follow-up question was, so what did you do? And well, we found alternative places to shop for many items that we used to buy in our grocery store. So guess where that was? It was dollar stores. Dollar stores deliver the best price in any market on every item that they carry. Number one. Number two, they provide convenience. It's very easy to shop in a dollar store. If you need 5 or 6 items, and the items that I just talked about earlier in the evening, do you want to park at Walmart? Do you want to walk a quarter of a mile to get to the store, walk through a 200,000 square foot store to find those 6 items, then stand in line at the checkout? When you can go into your dollar store and be in and out in 15 minutes, get a better price, and have a nice experience. So more and more people are saying, yeah, that's what I'd like to do. So inflation is a positive for us, certainly. People are learning. New customers are coming to our stores each and every day. And every time the economy has a little blip, we've seen that over and over. In 2008, when the economy took a little bit of a battering, our stores, dollar stores in general, gained more customers for the first time than ever before. During the pandemic, same thing, because what people found was while their grocery stores didn't have paper products, didn't have sanitizer, didn't have disinfecting wipes, masks, our stores had them. So not only did they have them, but they were the least expensive place to buy them. So we captured even more customers than ever. So that's kind of what's going on in our business. We're also rolling out a new format in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be a $1.25 store to knock heads directly with Dollar Tree. You can carry all the same items that they carry. Some people like to, instead of doing a dollar-only store, now that the Dollar Tree has made that move to $1.25, it's really kind of interesting. When they announced that in December, they said, well, we're going to add more items and greater value items and so on. But that didn't happen. The only thing that happened was they raised the prices to $1.25. And if you're a regular dollar store shopper, you know that. And I am, and I do know that. So they didn't really change their product mix at all. They just marked it up. So our $1.25 stores will have a greater assortment than Dollar Tree will have, more value. And then you also have, of course, the option of the 1, 2, 3 store, which I'm very excited about. And I hope some of you decide to go forward with that. So that is what's happening in our industry. Lots of exciting things. The growth is like I've never seen it. As I said, I've been here for 20 years in January. And I've never seen as much excitement in our industry as I've seen now. So with that, what I'd like to do is kind of open it up to questions. If you would just unmute your phone if you have a question. Just introduce yourself for all of us with your first name and where you're from, and let's get to work on those questions. Who's going to be first?
Hello, good evening. My name is
Who's this?
Cynthia. I'm from Brooklyn.
Okay, good evening. That's where I was born.
How are you?
Right.
Thank you. It was
Yeah,
a wonderful
good.
presentation. I enjoyed it.
Thank you
Very
very much.
informative. I may have missed the part about the one-time fee and the upfront startup.
Sure. Okay.
The initial startup cost, and also there was another thing. Oh, if you had your own property that was sizable and could fit a dollar store, would you be able to use that property? Can that property be evaluated, or you have to go into a lease? Can you go into a property that you own?
No, absolutely. Good questions. Let me take them in order. Number one, thank you for reminding me, because I never said what the entry level price was. Shame on me. I hope my owner isn't listening right now. The store packages start at 1,000 square feet, a dollar only store at $87.9. A dollar plus or 123 store at 1,000 square feet starts at $91.9. A few dollars more, and that's because there's more inventory in those other stores. So I'm glad you asked that question. Thank you very much. And then the second question was about the initial fee, and it's really not a fee. It's a fully refundable deposit. It's $500, and that lets us get you into finance and evaluate what type of funding you can secure. And you'll know within 48 to 72 hours, number one, if you qualify for financing, and if you do, how much, and what the terms and conditions are for that loan, because they're all a little bit different, and they depend on your credit profile. So at that point, if you decide to go forward, that deposit stays in place, and we go through real estate. At any point in time, if you want to stop for any reason or no reason, just say, I don't think this is for me, or it's taking too long, or I haven't seen any good locations, for whatever reason or no reason. Just say, I want to stop. Please send me my deposit back, and we do that. If you do continue forward and ultimately do a store, that $500 becomes part of the purchase price of your store, so you never lose it. And that's how that part of it works. As far as the question about a location, yeah, absolutely. If you have a location that can work, we'll evaluate it. We do like we would for any other location we find. We assess the demographics. We look at who the competitors are and where they are. We evaluate those things, and then if we think it's a good location, we will tell you so. And yeah, absolutely, we can do that. And we do that very often. People come to us with their own locations. So that's can be a nice advantage, and of course, it makes the process much quicker for you.
Okay, great.
Does that kind of answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Yes, next question.
Hello.
Yes, who's this?
Neil Jackson. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Is it Mr. Jackson?
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
calling
go ahead,
from
sir.
Louisville. I'm calling from Louisville, Kentucky. What is the price if you have a 2,000 square foot store?
Okay.
What's
the price? For a dollar only store, that would be $113,900. If you were doing a dollar plus or 123, it's $135,900. And all the prices and all the packages are on our website, so feel free anytime to take a look at that. It lists every size for every type of store and what the costs of them are. And of course, it also shows, what's included in each one of those store packages. So
I got one more question.
yes.
So two other partners that want to go in with me on this. So how will we do this?
Okay. Would you be doing financing?
Yeah, we'll probably do some financing.
Okay.
Well,
if you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
We probably can come with some financing too. We'll do some financing, but we might have some funds too.
Yeah, no, we often have sometimes 2 or 3 partners come in and do a store together, and sometimes they pool their funds and they don't need any financing, and that's great. Or if they do need financing, we just work with each one of them individually to put together the funds that you all need together for your store. Yeah, we do it all the time.
So not what we're trying to do, trying to get one finance and we all pay it.
Okay, yeah, and that can be fine too. That you work out the payment arrangements on your side. So if you and I were doing it, for example, and I was going to get the funding, Then as we started to make payments back to loan, you would give me half of each month's payment, and I would pay the other half. Or if there's three of you, just carve it up by three.
So, no, another question. So,
Yes.
say the store's doing good, we could always take the payment out of it because nobody's looking for profit right now.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, and lots of owners do that. If you don't need to take an income out of the store right away, which sometimes people don't, they're looking to make an investment, then you can pay the loans back that much quicker.
Yeah, because this is for investment. No one that on my group needs the money right now.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. You can retire that loan very quickly, and then everything that's generated from the store goes to you and your partners.
One last question. So,
yes.
Say store is 3,000 square feet. So, you think I should stick with a 2,000 square feet store? Because I want to have a freezer in there too.
Okay. If you want to do that, I would say 2,000 would be kind of the minimum. But let me say this. What we do is when we get into site location, sometimes the locations that are available will help drive that decision, as well as who the competitors are and what the rental rates look like. For example, if you're in a market, well, you're in Louisville, so there's going to be some competition there. But if we can find a location of 2,000 to 3,000 square feet and no competition close, and the rent is favorable, then I would go a little bit bigger. Even if you don't fill in the whole store initially, and I've done this any number of times too. If the rental rates are low enough, if an individual wants to do maybe a 2,000 or a 2,500 square foot package in a 3,000 square foot space,
what's the price of a
2,500? For dollar only, it's $150. Dollar only, 2,500 is $127.9, and dollar plus is $156.9 or $123. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great. So $159, is that all include everything?
That's everything. And let me give you our website address, and if anybody wants to jot it down, if you just go into your search bar on your computer and put in Dollar Store Services, it's going to take you, or www.dollarstoreservices.com is quicker. It'll take you right to our website, and you can see all the pricing and all the related information about them.
Yes, I'm there now.
Okay, good. Thankfully, there are no pictures of me on there, I don't think. We don't want to scare anybody.
Now, how would we get in touch with you later? Is it through this Dollar Store website?
Actually, the best way is if you got an email or a text, it should have your store development sales representative's contact information on it. It'll be at the very bottom. And you can always call me, and I'm going to, if everybody wants to get a pen, if you want to jot down my number, I'll give it to you, and we'll do it once or twice more through the evening. My direct line here is 702-637-3389. That goes right to my desk where I'm sitting right now.
Can you repeat that again?
Yeah, 702-637-3389.
And would you be so kind as to spell your last name, please?
Sure. Everybody asks. It's LaFronz, the only one you'll ever meet. Pretty sure.
Hello. My name is Candida. Hello.
What's your name, ma'am? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
My name is Candida Quiroz. I'm in North Carolina, but I was thinking, I don't know if you covered that early, but that you do international stores? Because I will be I'm interested to do one in Costa Rica. I have my own location. Yes. Would you do that?
Oh, very good. Yes, absolutely. And we should talk about that. And what was your first name again? I'm very sorry.
Candida Quiroz, Candida.
Got it. Okay. We should probably talk about that separately because it is a little bit different doing a store offshore. But yeah, absolutely, we can do it. We do it all the time. You want to call me in the morning?
Okay, very well.
Yeah, Candida. Yeah, if you can. Did you get my number?
No, I wasn't thinking was necessary because you said that I can talk to my rep. It will be the same? No.
Yeah, absolutely. And he'll probably have you talk to me at some point anyway. But yeah, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, and we have a whole program for that. It does vary a little bit from the U.S. program because there's some services that you don't need. Obviously, you have your own locations. You don't need real estate. So we would create a custom price for you based on a number of different things. So yeah, absolutely.
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
I don't recall getting a message from a representative.
Okay. How did you come to be on the call?
Someone told me about it, and I signed up for it, and then I got a little thing saying to call this number. Is there information at the bottom? of that?
Might be.
Mhm.
It might be, but go ahead and call me in the morning. Or if you want to give me your name and number now, I can have someone follow up with you in the morning. What was your name? Hello?
I'm sorry, my name is Cynthia. My name is
Yes,
Cynthia.
Cynthia. Okay, yeah. If you want to give me your number, Cynthia, and I'll have someone call you in the morning.
Well, I'm going to give you a call in the morning.
Oh, okay. Very good. Very good. Okay, I'll listen for your call, and we'll kind of talk through that tomorrow.
Yes, great. Thank you, John.
Thank you, and thank you for your time this evening. I very much appreciate it. Next question.
Hi, Alex here.
Yes, Alex. Where are you from?
Well, I'm currently still in Canada, but I've actually been talking to Sean about opening up in Mexico. I'm just wondering,
okay.
do you have any stores in Mexico?
We do not, and we can do stores in Mexico. There are some hurdles to get over, but they're doable and probably easier to talk about one-on-one, Alex, as opposed to in this call, because there are a couple of, I won't say they're impediments, but there are a couple of things that we have to work through to get product into Mexico. In terms of doing the store itself, it's very easy. But if you could give Sean or I a call tomorrow, we can kind of talk about those specifics a little bit more.
Okay. I will.
That would.
Yeah, I'll reach out to you in the morning.
Very good, and we'll have a good conversation about that.
Okay, sounds good.
Very good. Thank you, Alex. Have a good evening. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
This next question. Hello.
I have another question.
Oh yes, go ahead, sir. Is this Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Very good. Go ahead, sir.
I found a good location, but it's in Radcliffe, Kentucky, and so should I go ahead and try to do the lease on, see what's going on with the building that I'm trying to get, and do the triple net lease with them and all that? Should I let y'all do it?
I would suggest that you let us do it, Mr. Jackson, for a couple of reasons. One, we do a lot of them, obviously, and sometimes we can squeeze a landlord a little bit more than an individual might be able to. So I would say when you're ready to get started, just you get into finance, or let me know how you want to fund your store, and then let me know what that location, give me the details, and we'll put our real estate team to work on it.
Well, one of the guys that's coming in with me, he is a realtor, and he's been doing it for like that 50 years. So that's why I was wondering,
Well, yeah. I mean, there's no requirement to have us do it. And if you and he feel comfortable doing it, that's perfectly fine. And I would say also that we're always happy if you have questions. If you're going to do that yourself, and again, that's perfectly fine to do so. If you have questions as you go through that negotiation, things you may want to ask for, or the landlord's not responding the way you would like, we can always brainstorm on that too. Once you start, we can't get into that negotiation, but we can certainly coach you in the background.
Right. But one last question. So if I do the 2,500 square feet store, so I use the 500 square feet for storage?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, typically that. And when we look at a store package, for example, say the space is 3,000 square feet. That package, we assume that about 13% of that 3,000 square feet is going to have to be back room. It's going to be a stock room. It's going to be a bathroom and so on. So that 3,000 square foot store package that you buy will fill up that whole sales floor, which is probably going to be about 2,700 square feet, if that makes sense, because we know you got to have a little bit off sale space for a stock room and so on.
Right. So how much would the floor space you think I would have if I did it like
in a 3,000 square foot lease space? Your sales floor would be about 2,600 to 2,700 square feet, and the other 300 or so would be back room.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So you say it's 159 divided by 3. We just make one payment. Let the whole payment just come out of can we just let the payment come out of the store? Like I said,
Sure.
We don't need no money.
Yeah, no, you have to pay us when we develop your store, but so if you get a loan or you fund it yourself, either way, absolutely you can do that.
Right, I'm just saying we'll get the loan and we'll do the financing for y'all, but I'm saying how much do we probably need up front? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Quite possibly nothing, because between the three of you, you may be able to get enough funding to pay for the entire store package, the size that you want, plus some working capital. So once we get into finance, we'll know pretty quickly.
I know my partners got like at least 800 business credit score.
Pretty strong.
So, yes, and one got the other one got an 850, and I got a 7.
I'm sorry to interrupt. My apologies for interrupting. Are we done here or?
No. As long as you have questions, I'm here.
Okay, so we're done. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you as well. Take care.
Okay, I'll talk to you in the morning.
Very good. Thank you,
This is
ma'am.
great. Okay, bye-bye.
So yeah, I guess to answer your question, Mr. Jackson, excuse me, if the three of you and your two partners, each got funding, you would have either 3 individual loans, or if one of you could get enough funding to do the whole store, the others would share in the monthly payments. A lot of different ways to get there, but the way to start is to get an application and get into financing, and then we can figure all of that out.
Okay. Like, I got one last question. Say, like, for 159, what you think, like, the payment will probably be like that on that a month? 4,000?
I can't answer that question because there's so many variables that I don't know. But they'll be able to tell you that, again, within 48 to 72 hours, you'll know all of that information.
Okay, well, I'm gonna connect with somebody in the morning, and I'll go from.
Who's your sales rep, if you know, your store development rep?
Gosh, let me look at it real quick. Hold on.
Okay, that's okay. Probably Sean or Bruce, I'm guessing.
I think it is Don.
Sean. Okay, I'll let him know to reach out to you in the morning as well.
Okay, I will appreciate that.
Very good. Thank you. Great questions, Mr. Jackson. Much appreciated.
Thank you. All right.
Yes, next question.
This is Candida again. I just trying to figure it out how much is, if I'm going to finance my own store, how much is the working capital that I need and a minimum, what is the minimum enter level?
Okay, the smallest store package for dollar only type store is going to be $87.9 for 1,000 square feet. And again, yours is a little bit different because yours is going to be in Costa Rica. I normally estimate about 20% or so of the store package, an amount equal to 20% of the store package should be available to you for working capital. So you're at 87,000, and yours again is going to be a little bit different because we haven't figured out what we're going to do for you exactly. So that would be another $16,000-$17,000 that you would want. But keep in mind, in your situation, I have to really do a custom price for you, Candida, because we have to figure out what the ocean freight is to get the fixtures and the merchandise from Miami to Costa Rica. And there's some duty and customs. And again, there's some services that we normally would provide that you don't need, like real estate. So you said you had a location. About how big is it?
Yeah, we're building, so we can make it as.
Oh, you're going to build whatever you need it to be.
Yes.
So you know what? Let's talk a little bit tomorrow. And then what I'll do is I'll come up with a couple of price quotes based on 2 different size stores. And then I think that'll give you a better idea. And then we can, go on with more questions from there. I think that'll help you.
So 87,000 is like the entry level package. Plus, it's going to be a little bit more because I'm a little far away. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And and the other thing I do, and without going into a lot of detail, say you're going to do 1,000 square foot store. I know the fixtures and the merchandise for that 1,000 square foot store will fill up about 2/3 of a 40-foot container. So I'm going to recommend to you that you buy enough merchandise to fill the balance of that container, because you're going to pay for the freight on it, whether it's full or half full. So that's going to impact your price. So that's why I really want to talk to you one-on-one.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Very good. Thank you. Have a good evening. Yes, next question. Okay, if there are no further questions, I appreciate everybody's time and attention this evening. Lots of good questions, and I appreciate them all. And hopefully some or all of you will decide to go forward and reach out to me. You've got my number, or call your store development sales representative. Either one of us can give you whatever more information you might need. And look forward to working with a good number of you. Thank you so much. You have a great evening. Take care now.